Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today we're on the Grand Drive at the Kansas State Fair in Hutchinson, a showcase of Kansas's finest youth showing of breeding and market swine, beef, goat, and sheep.
Cattle for me have to be sound. We start at the ground, we work up, then they're going to be stout, they're going to be big-bodied, and be able to have the ability to survive in the real world. And I talked about that as I started the steer show today, that it's not just about the steer show, but we have to remember that there's females out there in the world that are sister mates to these steers too. So I tried to keep things pretty functional, pretty practical.
Join us as Duane Toews visits with each of the Grand Drive livestock judges as they share their thoughts about this year's competition. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome back to Farm Factor. Let's join Duane Toews on the Grand Drive at the Kansas State Fair as he catches up with the swine judge, Ben Bobell.
Duane Toews joining you with Ag AM in Kansas, an opportunity while at the Kansas State Fair and the Grand Drive, the youth show for the 4-H and FFA livestock, a chance to catch up with the judges this year. Today we have the opportunity to catch up with Ben Bobell from Lincoln, Illinois. And Ben, an opportunity here to come to Kansas. You've had part of the show already. What'd you think about the kids here in the Sunflower State?
Well, I can tell you that it's going to be a great 3-day experience because showmanship today was just very, very good. Lots of good kids, not only the kids that did well, but very, very deep competition here this afternoon.
As far as the swine industry as a whole, certainly a big part of the economic driver of this country, has been for a number of years. Where do you see some of the big things that are important to the swine industry right now as far as meeting consumer demands?
That's a great question. So I work for a very large company, Cargill, and so we're involved in lots of different assets of the agriculture industry. One thing that we see as a big driver is just consumer awareness. I think today there's some groups that maybe don't understand what's going on in the swine industry. Our job as ag advocates is to teach those people and help them understand why we do what we do, because we want to feed the world.
As far as providing a consumer safe product, a consumable product for that individual that's walking through the grocery store, that always has to be of paramount importance, I assume.
Absolutely, and I think it's also important at an event like this where kids are here and we have livestock here that we always do the right thing. And we want to teach our kids to always handle livestock properly, because you never know who's going to be here, who's watching, and we want to help educate that consumer again.
As far as big picture for the swine industry in the country, what are some of the things that are challenges right now that producers are working through?
Oh, I think in the last 2 years, as you look at the disease pressure we've had, that's been a challenge. I'd say currently, just a challenge is keeping our product attractive to different markets in the world. I mean, I think today we're doing a good job in the U.S. We want to continue to make that product safe and wholesome, and really get it out to different world markets.
Well, our thanks to Ben Bobell, Lincoln, Illinois, evaluating the swine at the 2015 Kansas State Fair Grand Drive. We'll be back with more here on Ag AM in Kansas after this.
Stay with us as we meet the cattle judge and see how she likes to keep things functional and practical in the ring.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Now's the time to overseed your lawn. The success of your lawn depends on the quality you plant and the proper fertilizer. Plant 100% weed-free seed with top-rated varieties tested by KSU. Always use Fertilome New Lawn Starter for faster, stronger root development. Don't waste time and money with lower quality seed from the box stores.
Join the Jackson's Greenhouse WIBW Garden Club and save 10% on your lawn seed and Fertilome New Lawn Starter. Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm a patient of Kansas Regenerative Medicine in Manhattan. I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee. My wife and I both are patients. We went down there the same day in November. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better. I can work now most of the day if I want to. And before, if I worked in the morning, I was done in the afternoon, or if I worked in the afternoon, I was sure enough done for the rest of the day.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Duane Toews is still on the Grand Drive visiting with livestock judges. Now let's check out cattle.
Duane Toews for Ag AM in Kansas. A chance while at the Kansas State Fair in Hutchinson to catch up with Cheramie Viator. And Cheramie, originally from Louisiana, spent time in Texas and Iowa as well. You've got wheels underneath you.
That would be correct. That's a correct description.
So as far as your opportunity to work with the beef industry and certainly the 4-H and FFA members here at the Kansas State Fair, what kind of an experience has it been for you so far?
Well, first off, I grew up showing cattle, grew up going to the 4-H circles. That's been, for me, an opportunity to give back. The folks here at Kansas State Fair have been awesome. Everything's run smoothly. Getting cattle in and out of the ring has been really easy. That part is great. And the weather's been wonderful, so that's made it even more fun.
As far as your background, how did you come about to be an individual that got the opportunity to evaluate the cattle here this year?
I'm a really, really fortunate person. I've been able to travel all over the U.S., worked in and out of Washington, D.C., and then evolved into some beef industry opportunities. Have lived across the country in the cattle industry doing work, and over time my experience has allowed me to develop a consulting company. I do a lot of marketing, genetics, and photography work in the beef industry, and I've just had the opportunity to meet lots of folks and been given opportunities to work across segments in the industry.
So from your perspective, as far as the beef industry is concerned, what are some of the major challenges that we face right now?
Well, expansion is going on, for one thing. That's one thing that's positive. If you're a young person trying to, get into the industry right now, cost to buy into the industry right now is certainly a big challenge. And if you don't inherit it, or if you're not set up in a financial situation to be able to work into the beef industry, that's a challenge right now, both from a land opportunity as well as to buy in asset valuation of cattle and equipment, etc.
You referenced some background in genetics and what a change we've seen in the ability to monitor and evaluate cattle in the last 10 or 15 years.
Absolutely. Well, we've added genomics into the picture, and that makes a big difference for folks in terms of being able to know and predict and understand what cattle have inside from a genetic standpoint, not just from a phenotypic standpoint, what we see with our eyes. So where we're headed down the road in the industry is going to incorporate more and more genomics.
As far as the cattle and your opportunity here at the Kansas State Fair, I assume that it's been a good experience this year.
Absolutely. I'm somebody that the cattle for me have to be sound. We start at the ground, we work up, then they're going to be stout, they're going to be big-bodied, and be able to have the ability to survive in the real world. And I talked about that as I started the steer show today, that it's not just about the steer show, but we have to remember that there's females out there in the world that are sister mates to these steers too. So I tried to keep things pretty functional, pretty practical.
As far as the industry as a whole, your perspective on the next 10 years, how does the beef industry shape up? Kind of an off-the-cuff question.
Wow. I think internationally we're going to have a lot of opportunity. I spent some time in Australia, get to go to Mexico as well, Canada as well, and I think our international opportunities are going to grow. The need for protein across the world is just incredible. So I think that we'll have just demand. While we may see some ups and downs, I don't think we'll return to post or back to 1952 levels. I think we're going to be at a shorter end of supply, and demand's going to be great for us.
Well, our thanks to Cheramie Viator, originally a Louisiana native here at the Kansas State Fair, part of the Grand Drive, evaluating the beef cattle for the 4-H and FFA youth that are exhibiting at the Kansas State Fair for 2015.
Time to grab a cup of coffee, but don't go away. Next up is this week's Kansas Soybean Report.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Here is this week's Kansas Soybean Report.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Bob Schirer serves as the Food Superintendent at the Kansas State Fair, and he joins us. And Bob, the Kansas Soybean Commission sponsored the Invent a Heart-Healthy Food Competition at this year's Kansas State Fair.
Yes, they did. That's correct. Had many lovely entries.
And what were some of the winning what were some of the winning recipes for the competition?
Well, we had 3 categories. The main dish, and that was a peanut soy noodle bowl. We had a dessert, and that was a simple soy nut cookie. And we had quick and easy snacks, and that was soy party dip. They were all just very lovely recipes.
The Invent a Heart-Healthy Food Competition, pretty self-explanatory, being able to use soy in their recipes.
That's correct. We had some that used tofu. We had some that used soy butter. We had just all kinds of things, soy flour and so forth, and it was just really a lovely contest.
You've already talked about some of the winning recipes. Who were the winners who made those recipes?
Okay, on the main dish, it was Amanda Miller from Hutchinson. On the dessert, it was Nicole Conrad from El Dorado. And on the quick and easy snacks, it was Joyce Conrad from Hutchinson.
It's a different competition, but one that it really shows the value and shows, and I'm sure you can see it firsthand, what they do and what they need to do as far as being able to use soybeans, but obviously making that soy product taste good within the recipe too.
And soy oil or anything like that always makes everything taste good. It's very nice. We even had some yogurt bark, like with nuts in it. And oh my, I didn't get to taste that, but I have looked at it every day since they have judged it.
Have you seen the number of entries grow for this competition throughout the years?
Yes, I think it has.
It's an exciting competition, having those numbers grow, but seeing how people are incorporating these products, soy products, into their diet as well, because if they're doing it there for the fair and the contest, they're probably doing it at home as well.
Absolutely. Every one of these winners cooks with soy at her home.
Bob, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is Bob Schirer, who serves as the Food Superintendent at the Kansas State Fair, and he joins us on this edition of the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Report. Stay tuned to meet Chad Colburn, Kansas State Fair Goat Judge.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Hey, it's Dr. Dan here, inviting you to Animal Science and Industries Family and Friends Reunion.
Whether you're an alumnus, a family member, or a friend like myself, I would encourage you to attend the Family and Friends Reunion on October 9th as a way to network, connect, or reconnect with friends of yours in your segment of the livestock industry.
K-State has many traditions. Agriculture and football are at the top of the list. So I'll see you in Manhattan, Kansas on October 9th for the Animal Science and Industries Family and Friends Reunion.
This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag, farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application. fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
Welcome back. Let's catch up with Duane and the goat judge at the Kansas State Fair.
Duane Toews joining you with Ag AM in Kansas. While at the Kansas State Fair, an opportunity to catch up with some of the Grand Drive judges. Youth program for the 4-H and FFA members who are showing their livestock here at the Kansas State Fair. We had a chance to catch up with Chad Colburn from Silver City, Texas. And Chad, tell us a little bit about your background in the goat industry and how you came to be one of the judges here this year.
Yeah, I work for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service as a county extension agent, and so as a result of my job, I do a lot of youth programming with livestock projects, and so I've been fortunate to judge a lot of major livestock shows throughout the country in multiple species, but I've also judged considerable amount of market goat shows all across the country, including all the Texas majors. I've been in Kansas 3 times now. I've judged the State Fair last year and also the Kansas Junior Livestock Show. So been fortunate to judge a lot of goat shows across the country.
From my perspective, it appears that you referenced the different market weights. It appears different ethnicities have a preference for goats of different sizes that works well as for producers as well.
Absolutely, and one of the things with meat goats is in terms of carcass weights and harvestability, it's an individual. The individual animal is going to dictate when he needs to be harvested in regards to back fat and just shelf life. And so we have goats that mature out at 60 pounds, and then we have goats that'll go ahead and mature out at close to 100 pounds. And so there's different weights that require different harvest times. As far as ethnicities are concerned, we have a lot of goats that go into the Hispanic market. A lot of Hispanic population will consume goat. They call that cabrito, and in addition to that, a lot of Islamic groups or Muslim-type groups will also consume goats that are intact, and so they use those for the halal market, and that's their religious ceremony where they use sheep and goats that are totally intact.
We think about the Boer goat breed, part of the goat industry. How big a change did that make for us here in the U.S.?
It made the change, if you want to call it the change. Before the Boer goat came over, the Spanish goat was the predominant commercial breed in the U.S., and there's still a lot of merit to those goats. They're really good and prolific in terms of they have multiple pregnancies, and they can handle a lot of various range conditions to where they can handle desert-type situations probably as good or better than the Boer goat. The other goat that we had before the Boer goat came over was Angora goats, and those are known as hair goats. And the production of mohair was very important with Angoras. Now the wool and mohair incentive was taken away back in 1995. And so with that, we've seen a dramatic reduction in Angora goat numbers. But to answer your question, the Boer goat has changed the commercial goat industry in the U.S. 100%. They're definitely heavier muscled. They're also prolific in terms of reproduction, and they can also survive in various range conditions. So they have a lot of merit just in regards they grow fast, they're muscular, and are easily raised. And so there's a big merit to having Boer goats in your commercial flock for sure.
Our thanks to Chad Colburn, Silver City, Texas, evaluating the goats at the Grand Drive at the Kansas State Fair in Hutchinson, Kansas. For Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Duane Toews.
Let's find Duane one more time on the Grand Drive at the State Fair. Stay with us and meet the sheep judge.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Let's go see Duane on the Grand Drive and meet the sheep judge.
Duane Toews joining you once again with Ag AM in Kansas while at the Kansas State Fair for 2015 in Hutchinson. As part of the Grand Drive, an opportunity to interview the judges who evaluated the livestock. Marvin Ensor from San Angelo, Texas, evaluating the sheep this year. And Marvin, a couple of long days, but good days with good livestock.
Oh, we had a lot of fun out here at the fair with the kids. They work a long time to get to this point and to feed these animals and work with them at home for a long period of time to get to show day. And so this was a big week for them, and it was a fun time for me. The quality was really good, and the kids do a great job of showing, and so it makes it fun to evaluate the lambs.
As far as the sheep industry, a couple of different segments, if you will, particularly on the market side, the lambs yesterday. An awful lot of muscle that those lambs have, and that's a big part of the industry as of late here in the U.S.
Yes, I think in the show industry, there's a little bit of difference sometimes in what's in the commercial world and what's in the show ring. But I think in today's time, we're probably closer to the commercial industry in some respects. We're more moderate in our frame. We're wider based. We're kind of sheep that do good out in the real world as well as in the pen. And muscle is, our product, and so we need to always continue to have enough muscle in them. We need it to balance. We don't need to overdo anything, but I think the sheep here are examples of what we're trying to do in a lot of other places in the industry is grow sheep that are productive, that have muscle, that have a good carcass merit to them, but still have a show look, if you will, in the end.
Then on Sunday, you had the opportunity to evaluate the breeding ewes, both commercial and registered, which made things, in the end, a bit of a pick and choose when it got down to the final drive.
Yeah, it's always interesting to do the breeding sheep because within the industry itself, and I have no problem with this, some people think we should all be on the same page, but there's room for a lot of diversity in the sheep and goat industry, and we know that in the sheep industry, there's the frame sheep people that like to have them bigger in their kind that may be different, need to be managed different in the barn, and then there's those that want to emphasize the muscle and the productivity for as being one that's easy to keep. And when you go to within the different breeds, there's some differences there. So today was my day, I guess you'd say, to give you my opinion, but these young people can go to other places and other judges will line them up with a little more emphasis in different areas.
My perspective, in the last 15 years, we've probably seen more improvement in terms of quality of livestock than in maybe any other time in history.
I agree. I think that for a long time, at least in the show ring part, we've swung the pendulum too far in different directions, and I think we've come to a point now where we have sheep and swine and cattle, goats, all of these species are really kind of fit a lot of the things we need in the real world as well. Now, some say they may be getting a little too big in their weight, but that's because some of them age-wise just need to be allowed to have a little more weight to them. But as far as kind and the way they're put together, I think we are closer to being where we need to be, and that makes it fun.
As far as the consumer's perspective, unfortunately, lamb, pretty small section in the meat case, but it seems to be more prevalent maybe than it was 10 years ago.
Yes, something that we've always worried about, the fact that the lamb is a little bit more expensive than some of the other meats at the case, but what we're finding is there's more demand for it. It seems to be continuing to grow in the United States. Our market continues to grow, and that's really great for us in the sheep and goat industry. And there seems to be more people local trying lamb more often, and I think appreciating lamb for what it brings to the table as well. It's really something some are willing to pay maybe a little bit more for to have.
Our thanks to Marvin Ensor with San Angelo, Texas, evaluating sheep during the Grand Drive with the youth 4-H and FFA members here at the Kansas State Fair in 2015. For Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Duane Toews.
Thanks for joining us today at the Kansas State Fair. I'm Jamie Bloom, your host. I hope you enjoyed our livestock judging stories from the Grand Drive. I'll see you next week on Farm Factor. We're here every Tuesday on Ag AM in Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.